What's up, everybody? Joey Powell for Inside Carolina on the On3 Network. If you have not subscribed, find $1, get $1 from your best friend or from your worst enemy. Make that happen. Get that cheap subscription while it's there. We want you to come over and join us because we're putting out content that's better than anybody else in the business. And we figured we'd continue that tonight. He's one of the biggest names in country music, platinum selling, arena filling superstar who's headlined stadiums all across this country. And yet, if you cut the man, he bleeds Carolina blue.
Amen.
Eric Church is as passionate about Carolina as any of us. And tonight we get to talk Tar Heel football with Chief himself. Belichick's on campus. September 1st marks the start of a new era. But who better to help us process what it all means than a man who knows big stages, big moments, and big expectations? This is Inside Carolina. Chief Eric Church is joining us. He's Tommy Ashley. I'm Joey Powell. Eric, first things first, man. A year to the date. Now, one time that this happens, it's an incident, but now we've got a trend. Do we officially need to do Chiefs football preview every year? Is that going to be a thing?
Just don't bring up my record from last year. Mine are Tommy's, okay? Don't bring up our record, but we could do that every year. I mean, what a time! Here's the thing, guys. What a time to be alive and to be a Carolina football fan. I mean, who in the world would have saw this coming a year ago? Let's go back 1 year, right? So it's unbelievable, unbelievable.
Well, we're going to get into a lot of that. And first things first. Last year, when you talked to us, we talked about how your fandom is escapism for you from when you've got life going on, and we told some grandma stories, which we always love. But now I know you're getting ready to head out on a tour. So before we talk football, I got to ask you, how do you prep for a tour? Are you running stadium stairs? Are you pushing a Hammond B3 up a hill? What are you doing to get ready for your upcoming tour for Evangeline the Machine?
It actually is a thing when when I started out early in my career and we were in bars and clubs and we would just roll out 6 or 7 nights a week and there wasn't much to it. But as we graduated to bigger stages, it's a thing. It's a lot like athletics in a way, where when you're going into a big tour with big stages and 15, 20,000 people, you have to prepare for that. You have to prepare for it physically, mentally, spiritually, all of it, because once you start that show, it's a rhythm, right? Every week it's another city. You could have the greatest show of your life in Pittsburgh on a Friday night, but on Saturday night Columbus is waiting on you. And you got to do it again, or Pittsburgh means nothing if you lay an egg in Columbus, right? So there's a grind there where you're looking city by city, and physically. I mean, I take about a month before a tour and start getting my mind and body right.
So when you're on tour, and I think we can equate this to athletics, since this is Carolina football show. What's it like when are there ever times where I don't really feel like doing it tonight? I mean, is that a thing now? It's one thing to be young and roll out, like you said, but we're getting a little older.
I'm 48 years old. Yeah. I mean, I've been doing it over 20 years. So yeah, there are nights that you walk out and what's interesting and it's a blessing and pretty rare for me. We're doing an arena tour this time and a couple stadiums, but this will be like I'm playing Pittsburgh to start this off September 12th, and this is probably the 7th or 8th time I've played the Pittsburgh arena, which
That's
most
nuts.
people don't. It's nuts. It's nuts. So you kind of, I guess what part of my answer would be, yes, there are nights that you go, I don't know if I'm feeling tonight, but at the same time, you think about where you came from and the incredible. I mean, it's just not something people get to do, and I know that. I know I've been around long enough to know that. So what I always look for in a show, and I guess you would say this in sports too with a game, but there's always that moment where it goes from I'm in whatever city to this is cool. It's changing. Like the crowd and yourself are having this spiritual interchange. And I think that's what you look for. So at some point in time in the show, you're trying to find those special magical moments. And they show up a lot more than you would think.
random question, and then I'll let Joey get in on all the. Joey makes notes. I don't do the notes thing, but what do you do with the stuff people throw at you? And the reason I ask that question is there's some Inside Carolina hardcore folks that have gone to a lot of your shows, and they're on the front row, and they've thrown some Inside Carolina hats up there.
Yeah.
Where
I
does
mean,
that stuff go?
I mean, somebody's got them somewhere, Tommy. But I mean, a lot of that stuff, a lot of, a lot of that stuff gets picked up. You know, there's some things that I'll grab. Like there have been a few jerseys and stuff that were Carolina stuff that
For
I would,
sure.
when I get something. There was a flag one night that these people had customized, a North Carolina flag, and I took it, and it's a thing you can tell when I get something like that. I'll look at the guy that's grabbing everything, and I'll go, "That's mine," and they'll make sure. But I mean, 47 hats. I'm not going to keep all of them, but
Right.
I appreciate people throwing them. So
How much stuff have you actually put up on the wall in Chiefs in Nashville now to go with that J.R. Reed jersey you got?
I had a ton of stuff. It's funny. I will say this. I have to tell you this. So at our opening for Chiefs, we had Michael Jordan came in and Bo Jackson came in, and we had a celebrity thing for our opening. And Jordan was sitting in that room where the J.R. Reed jersey was, and I was so like mortified. I was like, how did I not think to put an MJ jersey up in here? And he looked at me several times. He said, "Hey, who's 34?" And I was like, "Well, I was 34 when I was in high school. It ended up being because of J.R. Reed." And he was like, "Huh." I was like, "Trust me, Mike. I'm sorry. We'll get 23 of as fast as we can." So
I love the
it was a good
goat
moment.
batting his. I love the goat giving you an eyebrow about that.
Yeah,
All right, let's
yeah.
talk about some football, man. Obviously, you have a relationship with Mack, and I know you just played the Mack, Jack, and McConaughey event a few months ago. You've got a long-term relationship with him. We broke on this show last year that you were kind of involved with or in the discussions when he started thinking about coming back.
Right,
Obviously, that didn't end the way that anybody wanted it to. How
right.
do you, as a fan, but somebody who's friends with him, how do you parse that out? How do you process a breakup like that?
Well, I mean, none of us wanted to see it end that way, but nobody ever wants to see that end, right? I mean, if you look back historically, how many of those things end like both parties want it to end?
Yeah.
And that just doesn't happen a whole lot. So I think for me, I've thought about this a lot. I think that if you look at the Mack Brown 2.0 tenure, Mack did a lot of really good things at Carolina. I still go back to, I know some of the names we were looking at hiring and trying to hire when we hired Matt. And there were a lot of young names. And my caveat to the people that were making that hire or making that decision was, if you hire those young names and they win 10 games in Chapel Hill, they're going to be at Tennessee or Alabama or Georgia. Right. So I said, Mack Brown's not going anywhere. You're
Right.
going to be able to try to build a little bit. And I think Mack in a lot of ways did. I mean, keep in mind, if you look at, it's not the media we're experiencing now at Carolina, but Mack had a team a couple times in the top 10. He got to an Orange Bowl. It didn't end, the seasons didn't end the way that I think all of us would agree they should have. But there were times in that season that we were all thinking, Tommy especially, 12-0. And because I was too. There were a couple times that I thought they can win every game on this schedule. There's not been a lot of times in Carolina football where we could even predict something like that. So I think overall, I think it was a positive thing for Carolina. I think it led to Bill Belichick and where we're going to go from here. My opinion.
Yeah.
My opinion.
No, I don't disagree. I think it certainly led to the movers and shakers deciding it's time to go all in money wise.
Correct. Well,
And
Tommy, it's that, and it's also, you can see, look around college football. It's about conferences. It's about where we're going to go from here.
Yeah.
And it's trust me, the people at Carolina have seen what everybody else around the country has seen. And this thing within the next, maybe 2030 is going to be a reckoning. But by then, North Carolina's going to find themselves somewhere. And if you're not serious about football, you're not going to be at one of those places. So I think everybody kind of got their hearts and minds right to get us to where we are now.
Absolutely. We're talking with Eric Church, the Eric Church, about Carolina football. So Mack Brown moves on. Like we said, it was not a pleasant split, but it never is.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick's name comes up on Inside Carolina as a potential replacement for Mack Brown. What does Eric Church say when he hears that?
I hated it at first because I didn't think it was real. I think like a lot of us, I thought it was I hate to say it this way, but I thought it was a negotiating tactic to try to get another NFL job. Like I thought Jerry Jones would bite on that. So when I initially hated it, it was mainly because I don't think this is going to happen. And I don't think Bill Belichick's going to end up at North Carolina. And so for the early part of it, I didn't like it at all because I didn't believe it was actually going to be true. But then when it became true, I mean, I was pretty gobsmacked by the whole idea of the hoodie himself, being on a Kenan sideline. And I don't know that it could have gone. I mean, there's been a lot of off-season stuff, but it's it's the P.T. Barnum thing, right? That he always said that it doesn't matter what you say about me, just make sure you spell the name right and say the bad things often. And it's media, and I don't know that anything could have been better for the University of North Carolina football. I can't imagine in my lifetime there has never been a time where North Carolina football has commanded more eyeballs than they do right now, ever. Everybody keeps talking about Judgment Day, which I remember. I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And Tommy, you remember. I think this is going to be bigger. I think the TCU game is going to be bigger. And I did an ESPN thing tonight. They were using phrases like possibly one of the most watched college football games ever. And they were doing it because it's nuts. But here's why they're doing it. Because at first I kind of went, come on. And they said, well, it's because it's the only game on a Monday night. But not just that. Think about the NFL people that aren't as involved in college. They're in New England. They're in New York. They're going to tune in as an NFL fan to see Bill Belichick in his first game. And when they started saying that, I was like, that's just insane for what, Carolina football has been versus what it could be.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, there have been more discussion. I bet you there's more. You could Google Carolina football right now, and it would match the last 10 months would match the lifetime of the program.
Yeah,
with the amount of press and ink and on there, and on Monday night, like you're talking about, when we're there and we are in the stands and we see Bill Belichick walk out of that tunnel. I mean, it still is something to get the head around, and it's interesting to hear people discuss it as in disbelief as we all are. I mean, covering press conferences, I'll freely admit, I'm like, that's damn Bill Belichick,
And back to Joey, back to your question. I mean, that's where I got to when I realized that it was a possibility, a real possibility.
Right.
If this wasn't a negotiating tactic.
Right.
I was floored by it. And, then it comes down to, okay, he can coach football. You know that North Carolina is a great campus.
Mm-hmm.
You know that it's a great university. You know that he's going to surround himself with really good coaches. And a lot of the problems that we've had at Carolina have been we've not been as physical. We've not been as tough. I mean, NC State has tried to prey on that. There's been other teams that have talked about the softness of what Carolina is. You're not going to have that with a Bill Belichick coach team.
No.
And I think that when you start looking at all those things, and then here's the big thing, the university gets behind it with the finances. That's the biggest thing here. Major financial contribution. And I think that changes a little bit of the game. I think a lot of people still scoff at Bill being at Carolina, but I think it's going to work, and I think it's going to really work. So I think if you take all those things and you put them together, I think Carolina is going to end up with the last laugh here.
It absolutely can happen. Go ahead, Joey.
No, I love hearing that. I'm thinking about so we've talked to a couple of different folks recently, just trying to get the same perspective. Obviously, everybody has different looks at it, but hearing you say the same thing, Eric, I think is it's starting to sound like some of the similar thorough kind of through lines that we've heard. So I remember you saying last year, you profess that you're a big fan of ball control, smash mouth type football.
Yes.
I fully expect there to be more than your dose of that coming with Bill Belichick. How much does that intrigue you, thinking about Carolina being a stuff the other team out, defensive, going out and winning a Greg Barnes special of a 9-6 game or something
I
like
was
that?
going to say, so I watch you guys every year. I watch your prediction show. I make sure that if whatever I catch through the year, I get the prediction show. So I watch Greg and I share. Greg and I agree. I don't share his love for Narduzzi as much as he loves Narduzzi, but we share in how we like to play football games and see football games played. And I think that this North Carolina team can do that. I think the difference with this team is I think they're going to be better offensively than people think. I think if you look at what Gio can do, I'm a big fan of like the redundancy part. What we found last year is when we lost Max Johnson, everything just was, you're holding it together with, duct tape, baling wire. And I think that this year, Gio Lopez is going to be really good. Max Johnson's a really good backup, and Bryce Baker is not exactly the worst third string in the country, right? So there's redundancy, and I think they're really they're really high on the running back out of Michigan, and everybody always thinks that Bullett's going to be the guy. I don't know yet. I think Hood's going to get a lot of looks there, so I think there's redundancy at a lot of these positions that if somebody gets hurt, you're still going to be able to have a really competitive and hard-nosed team that I think can compete with the schedule they have. And that's the elephant in the room. You can take that how you want to take it, but their schedule is not the worst schedule in the country to win games. And I think they can win more games than people think on this schedule with the team that I think Lombardi has built there. I know Michael, he's a friend of mine, and he's done a really good job, especially in year one with bringing in who they brought in. He's built a really good redundant lineup that if somebody goes down, you got a very comparable player that can come in and step in right behind them.
It's a great point there. Of course, talking about Michael Lombardi, basically the GM for the program. The concern for me, and to your point about the schedule, Jason Staples has said this is a 10-win schedule.
Yeah.
Maybe not a 10-win team, but
Yeah.
the concern for me is on the lines. And we've seen a couple centers get hurt and all.
Yeah.
But what do you want to see? Take wins and losses out of it. What do you want to see? First game, September 1st, Monday night, 8:00. What coming out of that game, win or lose, what makes you feel good about this experiment, this Belichick thing?
I want to see a competitive, hard-nosed, grinded out football team that's in the game, that doesn't do something that we all go, what in the hell are you doing? Type thing. So I don't, special teams, whatever. I want to see a well-coached, disciplined, hard-nosed team. And then the other part of your question, the big thing I want to see here, I want to see the fan engagement that I think we're going to see carry over. Because I still believe that when you go to a Carolina basketball game, you go to the Duke game, whatever, those same fans are also, they're Carolina fans. They'll be football fans. We tend to lose them in the fray. And I would love to see them more engaged in the football environment. And I think that you're going to see that. But the biggest thing for me is just a well-coached, well-disciplined. I mean, I'm okay. And even in my thing, we may go through this, but I I'm embarrassed to say that I agree with a lot of the panel. I picked them to lose the TCU game, although I'm coming around. Day by day, I'm coming around. But I did pick it. But I would love to see, like, just, I want to be there at the end. I want to see that team that just fights their ass off and controls a lot, doesn't turn it over. They just look like a team that by the end of the year, they're going to be the team that we think they're going to be under Bill Belichick.
Yeah, that's the thing for me is Belichick's pro teams, and granted, it's different. You have a waiver wire, you can go pick up guys. They win late in the season. Carolina just hasn't been able to do that in the last few years. And don't worry, we're going to get you on the record game by game. It's coming.
Great. I change daily, so I'll tell you what the day is. So
I'm going to
We'll
have
have
you
to
at 12-0
timestamp
at
these
some
picks,
point.
Tommy.
Yeah, at some point, somebody's going to join me on the 12-0 list.
Yeah.
Maybe it's you tonight, but if we can get past the TCU game, position group wise, you mentioned quarterback, you mentioned running back. Who else do you want to see show out? You obviously follow it more than people realize,
right.
And
Let's start with concern. My concern is defensive line. I'm concerned up the middle. I think, if we're being honest, they're probably concerned up the middle. But what I'm betting on there is a Belichick coach defense, whether Bill or Steve or the combination, is they're going to use, I think, a really great linebacker group. I think one of the best corner groups in the ACC, and a really good, solid safety group. So what I'm betting on, and I think the ends are going to be really good on the defensive side. I think those guys are mid to above mid in the ACC of defensive ends. So the middle's the problem, right? So I'm hoping we scheme around that part. You mentioned on the other side of the ball. I loved this offensive line until we've had two injuries that I don't love at all. And because it's the worst position to have an injury at. But I really thought that this Carolina line coming into this year was going to be better than last year. And I'm still not sure they're not going to be okay. But you need especially need Blasky back, in my opinion. Christo Kelly's great too, but you got to have Blasky back. And I think that I still look at it though, and I think the pieces they put in there, the thing I look at with stuff like that I love is size. And if you look at the defensive line and offensive line, these are big, fast dudes that have spent a long time this year trying to get in shape. I think they're in shape. I think I listened to Jason Staples talk about this. I felt like for the last 5 years, he's been calling our linemen fat the entire time.
Doughy.
That's right, doughy. He continues to say they're not in the best shape they could be in, which is him saying that. So I feel like this year they are probably going to be a little mobile. I think they put the freshman in right at tackle, the 6'9" kid or whatever. I think that you're talking. That's a big tackle, by the way. But I think that they're going to look like a team that looks to get outside of the middle of that field. They look like they're going to want to move around. Look like they're going to get outside the lines, and that intrigues me a little bit because I know Freddie Kitchens. I spent a lot of time with him, but I don't know what a Freddie Kitchens offense looks like. I have no idea. I know what a Bill Belichick offense normally looks like, but I don't know where Freddie is on this. So I'm really intrigued by that. I'm intrigued by looking at the way his line looks. Are we going outside tackle? Are we going inside? Are we going to play action? What are we doing? And so that's one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to. But as far as position groups, I think you're set. I think the quarterback room's a great room. I think the running back room is a really good room. I think with you got Hall, you got Hood, and you got Bullitt. I think those are three really good running backs. I think the receivers, I like the receivers last year. I know we lost some, but I think there's a lot of great young receivers there. Tight ends probably took a step back a little bit with what they lost, but I don't, let's call it a wash or even below average. I think the line with everybody there is better. So I expect a lot from the offensive side of the ball. And I love the Gio Lopez kid. If you look at some of his film and tape, dude, he runs. I mean, when he gets hit, he still runs.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's a hammer. And I like the option of being able to run the football from the quarterback position. As a Carolina fan, you guys know how much trouble we've had when you have a running quarterback. It creates problems everywhere. So I love that dynamic.
Tommy, I don't know if you hear what I hear. I hear a multi-platinum recording artist that is breaking down position groups because he cares just about as much as any of our subscribers do, and I think that's fascinating to me. But Eric, I love to sit here and hear you talk about, go through all the position rooms. I don't think that happens on everybody else's podcast. When you're talking about North Carolina in the future and stuff, I got to ask, if North Carolina ends up in the SEC, is your marriage going to be able to tolerate that?
No.
Okay.
It's going to be rough. I married a Tennessee girl, so yeah, that's going to be that. Could what's probably going to happen if that happens, and I think we're going to these power conference things. It's probably going to look like, I know we hired Bill Belichick, but it's probably going to look like the NFL, where you're going to have these regional, because it just makes sense as far as the confines on the athletic department, as far as their money. You probably end up with a division that is Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. You're going to be in the area, right? And that's going to be your division. And if you win the division, you make the playoff. And if you're one of the whatever highest, you're in the wild card. It's going to be very much, I think, like what the NFL is going to look like.
It makes more sense that way, at least from a surface level. Do you think, again, being a fan, do you think that Carolina fans are ready for kind of the Belichick way? I mean, I know everybody's ready for it. Like everybody's like jonesing for it. But do you think Carolina fans are really deep down ready for what might be just a different mindset and a different approach to football?
I think they're ready to win, Joey. I know I'm ready to win.
That's
so I think that
sweet.
once you win, I think I think that's what I've said many times. I was on the field. You guys may remember this, but might have been Mack's second game back against Miami in Kenan.
That was a great night.
I was there that night. That was an electric night when I think it was Sam Howell hit the guy in the end zone. I remember looking around that night and going, you can have big time football here. You can do that here. That place was bedlam. I play arenas and stadiums. I've seen crowds, and I was looking around, this is bedlam. And I think that is what you're trying to capture. And the biggest thing I think that's going to do that is consistency. Because what's happened in the past is, you win, you're 5-0, you're ranked 9 in the country, and you lose to Virginia or Georgia Tech. And you start
too soon, Eric.
Yeah, you're ripping Band-Aids off right and left.
But the point is, then you go, hey, I thought we were, but no, we're not. And I think consistency is going to be, and listen, I can't think of a better word for Bill Belichick other than consistency. I mean, that guy is going to coach the same way. He's going to have the same type team. And I just think that's the right coach at the right time to take Carolina football to the next level.
Yeah, I think, Joey, you're moving the screens around. You're confusing me here. Just talking to the middle. There you go. We got to keep it straight. It's kind of late. You mentioned that consistency, and Joey made me lose my train of thought. But my thing is, I want to see a team that loses because of talent, not because of the what the hell moments you mentioned earlier. And I think that is what North Carolina fans are really starved for, is teams that play up to their talent or above their talent and not do those kind of what are we doing type moments.
WTF moments, yeah.
Well, it's also Tommy. It's also player development. I think you can look at a lot of the recruiting over the last, let's say, 5 years, and you look at those recruits and 4 and 5 star guys that just don't end up being 4 and 5 star guys at the end of their career. And what I'm kind of betting on is I look at the way Lombardi and Belichick are doing this is they're treating it like scouts. They're looking at, like, one of the most fascinating things I thought about this portal class for Belichick and Lombardi was the size they were looking for. I mean, they were recruiting size first on the lines, the big hog mollies, right? So I think that by doing that, you kind of see that they think that if they have that part, they can make them into what they want them to be. And they know they have confidence that they can coach those guys to be those kind of linemen. And I believe that because they've done it and they know how to do it. I was intrigued when they came in and started talking about the diet and training and recovery not just the thing, but the recovery. Like those things are NFL words. That's pro sports words. And I think that you can probably tell by, next year's recruiting class, which is going to be really good, that kids are buying into that part of it. And if they can sell the 33rd program and that becomes a thing, I think it changes Carolina football forever.
To your, to
My
God's
lips to
ears.
God's ears. Yep. I got it.
Yes, I was trying to make a Carolina reference in there, but God works.
Put that in a country song. How's that?
Yeah.
So let's get on the record here.
Okay.
2025 season starts Monday night, 8:00 TCU. Who you got?
I've got TCU. I have to go with what I picked, but I only have that. And listen, I've got real close recently. And 2 weeks ago, I did this, and I just think, to me, because I've not seen this Carolina team play, I want nothing more than for Carolina to beat TCU. And if they do, it's on. Like I think 10 wins, Joey. Back to the schedule thing with Jason. I think 10 wins becomes real if they beat TCU. I think it becomes a real thing. So, but I just look at TCU, great quarterback. You got a coach that's had a team for 4 years. We've not seen any of these kids play. I just kind of go. I think it's going to be a great game. I think the crowd's going to be maybe the best ever in Kenan. That's what my expectation is. And weird things could happen, magical things could happen. But if you put a gun to my head, I'm going to say TCU wins that game.
I was with you. I was Carolina wins until the Blasky and Kelly injuries, and then and now I'm in the wait and see. All right, Charlotte and Richmond. No disrespect to those schools, but they've got to be wins.
W's.
Going down to UCF in Orlando.
That's a W. See, everybody, yes, I watched you guys debate this.
Bring the receipts, Chief. Bring the receipts.
Come on, man. I mean, Scott Frost, everybody, I know Scott Frost is a great coach. I know Scott. And I think that he's going to get that going, but I just don't think they're going to be that good. I mean, I don't expect Carolina's going to win that game. Y'all quit worrying about that. Carolina will win that game.
I ain't worried about it. That's T. Ashley.
They're going to win that game. I just don't think they're going to be that good. They lost a lot of players. They've got some athletes, but if you really look at that team in year one, year one Frost, year one Belichick. Which one do you guys want? Right. So I'm going to go.
Way to look at it.
I'm going to go with that's a win. I'm actually not that worried about that one.
Okay, so we're on par here. I lose TCU, win the next three. Clemson after a bye week.
They're going to lose that one. I'm afraid we're going. Now listen, here's the thing that's so great is I remember when Mack was there. Maybe was it year one that we almost So that's the greatest thing about it. But as far as on paper, Clemson's they're just a better team than Carolina. Yeah. And so I've got that as a loss. But, man, nothing would be, God almighty. Can you imagine beating them in Kenan? Oh.
Right.
Place would, it would implode.
I was going to say it would completely melt down in Kenan. Then you got to go all the way out to California on a Friday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time.
I'm not worried about it. Oh, Carolina wins that game.
All right, Virginia back home.
By that time, Tony Elliott's probably not going to have a job the year after.
I don't think you're wrong.
I would imagine that, we've dealt with this before. I just don't know that that's a team that's going to play inspired. They'll play more inspired against Carolina because of the game. Right. But I'm just not. There's a number of games on this schedule where the person that's coaching the team, this could go a different way for that team, depending on how they start. And I think Virginia is one of those teams. This could turn turtle on them pretty fast. And I think that that's just not a game. I'm not sure that's going to be a problem for Carolina. I think Carolina wins that easily.
Does your tour run through Charlottesville or anything? It does not, does it?
It doesn't now.
It did.
It did.
Yeah, we're out now, so yeah, we're done.
And then they've got to go to Syracuse on a Halloween night. This is one where
okay. So I like Fran Brown a lot. I think Fran Brown's a great coach. He came from Georgia. I think Fran Brown is actually building something in Syracuse. and I don't know how long he'll be in Syracuse, but
Right.
I think he's building something. They lost a lot. I think that's an even game on talent. I think both those teams are pretty even. I'm interested. I wish I could see the Syracuse and Tennessee game on Saturday before I told you what I thought, because I'd love to see how Syracuse plays Tennessee. But I think I'm going to go with a loss on that one. Just history, Halloween, that all those bother me, right?
It's weird. There's some weird stuff around it.
It's just weird. However, I did have a friend of mine who's a college football analyst say to me, Bill Belichick's not going to go back to the state of New York and lose that game. And there's a lot of rivalries around the area and New England area. He's going to win that game. So I could be dead wrong, but that's one I do have as a loss.
All right.
Then I'm about to surprise you. Where we're going now, I'm about to surprise you.
Okay, Stanford at home.
I'm ready for it, Chief. So go ahead.
Stanford's a win. The three of us could pick 8 people and stay within a touchdown of Stanford. Okay, so we can. I'm not worried about Stanford.
So the tour does not run through Palo Alto.
It doesn't run through Palo Alto either.
All right. Okay.
We're good.
Wake Forest and Winston.
That's a win.
Duke and Chapel Hill.
Mm-hmm. Here's the one I went back and forth on this one, but I really think it came down to Manny Diaz versus Bill Belichick.
Okay, so that's a win.
It's a win.
NC
Might be by
State.
2 touchdowns, but I think it's a win. And then they'll beat NC State. I'm not sure Dave Doran. He's in a similar situation. And Dave's been a good coach there. He's been consistent, 8-4. But I think that this could be a year where it could go a couple of different ways. They could lose to ECU.
They lose to ECU, he won't be the coach.
It's over.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So
they'll fire him Thursday night.
That's what I mean. So some of this is another team that I like their team, and Tommy, you guys may remember this. I thought they would be better last year. I really liked their team. They had the Grayson McCauley went down, the Hollywood Smothers. They had that Concepcion kid that I think transferred out, but he was a stud, right? So I really thought last year it was the state's best chance at like 10 wins. And Dave's done a good job there, but I just think this is a season for them that they could be easily 6-6.
And it's over, especially if they don't beat Carolina. I mean, Tom O'Brien beat Carolina 5 straight, lost to Carolina on Gio's punt return. That was the end of that.
Right. So I have them 9-3.
You and I had the exact same schedule.
Exact
same thing.
There we go. I have 9-3.
So how does Eric Church feel about a 9-3 season? I want to ask, like, if you're looking back, do you feel good about a 9-3 season, especially considering the fact they would have won the last 4 plus whatever bowl game they go to?
Yeah, I mean the game of those last 4 that makes me the most nervous is the Duke game, because I think Duke's got a good team. I think their defense is really good. I think that quarterback, the Mensa kid's really good. I think Duke is the biggest challenge of those last 4. But I think if you look at it, as I broke this schedule apart, last year I went game by game, right? This year I went, what are the games they're going to win and they could lose? And I went into, there are 6 games on this schedule they're not going to lose. And there are 6 games they can possibly lose. And those are TCU, UCF, Clemson, Syracuse, Duke, State. Those are games you can lose. The other 6, it would take, even if you played the worst game of your life, you're going to win by a field goal, right? And that's just the way I see the schedule. So those 6, and here's where I went. What are the chances on 6 marginal games of Bill Belichick not going 3-3?
That's where you're playing Vegas odds. I like that.
Right. So he's going to be 500 in margin games. And if you take out the Clemson game, he's a little better than that, because I don't know that I have Clemson on a margin game. But the other 5 are margin games. So that's kind of where I got to the 9. And I know ending that way. But I'm also back to what we talked about earlier. I think this team is going to be, for the first time in a long time at Carolina, really good in November. And I'm expecting that. I think that they're going to be well conditioned. I think they're going to be disciplined. I think they're going to be a harder team to beat in November than they are in September. And I'm just betting on the investment and the coaching staff and who I think Carolina can be to win those games. And yes, win the last 4 games of the year.
All right, we're talking with Eric Church, and again, the fact that this man sells out arenas and is still willing to sit down and break down position groups and schedule game predictions is fascinating to me. Eric, I'm thinking about November. Where is the tour going to be in November where you're going to be kind of looking backstage to one of your guys to see what the score is in between songs, or, all of a sudden, all right, that's the first set. We're going to go take a little bit of a break so I can watch this fourth quarter. Where are you going to be where you're going to need to be watching these games in November?
It won't be Palo Alto and Charlottesville. We're going to be on the West Coast in November. So I'll actually be one of the games I'm in. I'm playing the old Forum in Inglewood. It's one of the last days tour. So I was looking. I think it's the Duke. Yeah, I think it's the Duke game. I think I'm at the Forum in Inglewood. So it'll be showtime out there. But I'm on the West Coast for most of November.
All right. Well, so hopefully you'll get to see most of those. Look,
Yeah.
you talked earlier about looking up and seeing the buzz in Kenan Stadium on that Miami game. Does a UNC night game atmosphere have anything similar to walking out onto a full arena? Like, try to compare those for our listeners, 'cause I think there's probably some juice there, right?
I think it's very much the same. I mean, that's one of the things that I love about. People ask me a lot of times about what I love about college sports specifically. I mean, I'm not as big of a pro fan as I am college, but with college sports, you can feel that anticipation coming. My favorite thing to do when I play an arena is about 5 o'clock. I'll go walk or jog the concourse, and it's before the doors have opened, but you can smell the popcorn. You can see the people that just got there to work, and you can feel that energy building of what the night's going to be. There's lines waiting to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think college football or college sports is very similar to concerts in that way. It's just, there's an energy there it's very relatable between the two.
Which would you rather play? I'm curious, and I know we're not music here, but which would you rather play? A stadium, an arena, or Chiefs, or a small hole in the wall?
I mean, I prefer, if I'm by myself, I prefer something kind of small and intimate. I think some of those are the best kind of moments you make. But it really depends, Tommy, on the kind of show you're trying to do. I mean, if you get a stadium, the sound's not going to be quite as good, but you can get some really interesting environment. But for me, I think the safest thing between all of them, a really good arena that sounds great, that people are engaged, and I can still lock eyeballs with them. Problem with the stadium is the people that are in the back's a 9-iron from me. I can't even.
Right.
So I have a hard time capture. The biggest thing for a singer on stage is you want to capture that spiritual movement that transfers from a singer to the crowd, and the spirit moves around, and it's almost like church. Everybody feels that. That gets harder the bigger the place is. So it would really depend on the kind of show and what I'm doing. But I've had some of the most spiritual shows of my life, just me and a guitar and 1,000 people in a small place, that you just had the spirit moving.
So you're talking about, how music can move people. If you get to build the game day playlist for September 1st, what's the first track you're playing for Belichick's first home game? And it could be a Chiefs song. It could be just one of your faves. Like, you tell me, you're building a playlist.
I mean, I don't know. For me, I would probably, that's a great question. I would probably, I'm an AC/DC guy. So I would probably, Back in Black or something would be what I'd walk out to. Actually, you know what? I have said this to the people there. We keep talking about, if you look at like Virginia Tech and the Metallica Inner Sandman, and there's a number of things, and Carolina tends to keep looking for that. I don't know why we don't do going to Carolina in my mind, which is James Taylor, but it could be, it's almost like, also, I don't know why we didn't take Sweet Caroline, which I think there's teams now that take and sing during the third quarter and do. So I would love to see some of those moments during the game with some of those songs that I think would work pretty well, specifically those two that I think would work really well in Chapel Hill. But just those are, and I'm not sure you can fabricate that. I think those
Yeah,
things.
you can't.
Yeah,
You have
you,
to be
you
real.
try to do it and then it doesn't work, and I've seen that before. But I think they're looking for moments and stuff. And if Carolina could just come up, and here's the biggest thing, we do this with shows all the time. Doesn't matter if it is great the first or second time, keep doing it. It's the consistency of it. If you change after three and go to another one and go to another one, you're never going to just dig in. If you know you're right, hold the line, play the damn thing every time they come out, and eventually people will come around.
Hey, it's fascinating to see. People think you have to change it up. No, you don't. If it works, it works.
Hang on to it. Yeah, go with it. Yeah.
Last question for me, and appreciate your time. You're amazing to do this stuff. Your Red Rock show, unbelievable. 3 separate nights.
Yeah.
I wish it was available to still watch. We got to get that on video or whatever. Yeah. But which was more a highlight for the summer for you? Playing Red Rocks for 3 nights or doing the Inside Carolina podcast right now?
Inside Carolina. Easy. It was easy. I mean, come on. That's a no-brainer, right? Yeah. Easy answer, Tommy. Easy answer.
Joey's
Red Rocks ain't got Tommy Ashley.
Red Rocks.
No, I'm actually all done. I dropped the playlist question on him. I feel like I'm probably out of here. But Eric, I can't say enough.
Let me ask you, Eric. No, we got to ask this one, Joey. This is funny.
Okay.
Would you trade a platinum record for a national championship in football?
Yeah. Is that fast enough?
I knew the answer. That's why I didn't ask him. That's easy. That's a no-brainer.
You know why, Tommy?
What?
I've got more than one platinum record. So. I'm just joking. I had to do that. I'm joking.
That's an all-time flex. I love it.
That's a joke. I'm joking.
Well done.
Yeah.
Eric, I appreciate it, man. I can't say enough. I want to give a shout out to Brandon Schneeberger too for helping to set this up for tonight. But just grateful for you guys. Look, have fun on tour. We'll certainly miss you at Kenan, but look, I know you're going to be connecting with tens of thousands of people every night, and just keep doing what you do, and appreciate you tuning in this show. Again, I said it last year, but you keep listening to Tommy Ashley, his head's going to get so big, you're going to have to sell out an arena just to get his head in.
Well, we have the same picks this year, so we're in the same boat together. So we're gonna ride that boat.
Yeah, ride or die.
Now here's the thing. Here's my question. Let me turn it around. So Tommy, if Carolina beats TCU in night 1, do you go to 11-1?
He's thinking about it.
Probably.
Because you're thinking Clemson, right? You're thinking that.
I don't see them beating Clemson now. Who knows? If they beat TCU, it changes the whole game.
I agree with that. That's where I did the same. This is where I came back to you that I don't. This could be interesting, because you beat TCU, it brings 10 wins into a real reality. Because it's the schedule. It can happen. I mean, I'm telling you, as I told you, there's 6 teams that the 3 of us could play 3-on-11 and win. So it's a 6-team schedule. And I think Belichick's going to beat at least half of those teams.
Yeah. And if they win 10 games, the sky's the limit. You're going to have to cancel a show to go to a college football playoff game.
Hey, I've done that, by the way. Man, you can Google that. I've done that.
The man has a record. Look, that sound you hear is Buck Sanders' fever dream of North Carolina all of a sudden getting a college football playoff.
By the way, I just want to say this just for the record. I think Buck Sanders is a national treasure. We should protect him at all costs. He's always fine. I love that Tommy defers to him to start and then to end their prediction and everything else they do. I want to go on the record that Buck Sanders is a national treasure.
Oh man, Tommy, he might have just gotten us some job security by saying that.
I'm gonna get shirts printed.
Yeah,
Buck Sanders, national treasure, signed Eric Church.
Yeah,
protect at all costs.
Yeah,
Eric, thanks so much, man. I want to give a shout out to John Sigley for producing, and to everybody for listening. Make sure you subscribe, all the good stuff. Give us a rating, and we appreciate Eric Church for making time with us. This has been a special Inside Carolina podcast. Thanks to Eric Church for joining us. To Tommy Ashley, I'm Joey Powell. We will catch you guys down the road. All right, Tommy, that's the second time. It's officially an annual thing now that we talk to Eric Church about football. I know I said it during the show, and I probably sound like a total goober saying this, but it blows my mind that a guy that has the power to entertain, tens of thousands of people on a nightly basis breaks down Carolina film and position groups and two deep and season projections the same way that we do and our subscribers do. That's fascinating to me.
Yeah, he pays attention a lot. You can obviously tell he's not just one of those fake people that read whatever on social media. He obviously looks at it. He picks the games. He breaks down opponents' teams. We talked to him last year, and I was kind of surprised at how much he paid attention. But this year it's not surprising because of last year, and he's a fan of Carolina football. He's got vested interest in Carolina football, and like you mentioned, we'll probably see something with him on Monday night ahead of the game on TV. But it's just fascinating to hear him talk about it with all the stuff he's got going on. But hey, the Carolina reach is about as far as you can get.
Yeah,
in this world, and it reaches everybody. And same can be said for Inside Carolina, really. Not tooting our own horn, but I mean, what he said about Buck, when you talk about Jason, Greg, you, me, it is, people pay attention, and that's what makes this job cool for us to be able to do, because that people pay attention and people keep up with it. And it's important on a larger scale than just you and me sitting here shooting the breeze about sports, because it matters to a lot of people.
And don't get me wrong, sitting here shooting the breeze about sports is fun, but I think having somebody to show our subscribers that, like, hey, Chief is just like we are. He follows it the same way we do. Maybe he said in the show we did with him last year, we talked a little bit about throwing remotes at the TV. I can tell you right now, there's a good bit of people that's listening to this or watching this that have done the exact same thing. So, that fandom is strong, and it kind of, I think there's some similarities, and I'd love to have this conversation without cameras rolling and without mics rolling, and just, literally just sit down over a beer. I'd love to hear what he thinks about the similarities and how music creates emotion similar to the way sports creates emotion, because those two spectrums and those extremes are part of what being a human being is really about. But he seems to be able to really tap into that with his songwriting. But it shows that he's also able to tap into that as just a fan of Carolina sports too. It's really, really refreshing to see that they're just like us.
Yeah. The difference in music and sports is, for the most part, people enjoy music all the time.
Right.
You find what you like, you find your favorite, and you listen to it. And for the most part, you love it. With sports, people get so mad.
Nobody wants to fire Taylor Swift after a show.
Yeah, I mean, people just get angry and all that kind of stuff. So it's an interesting similarity, but there's also differences there. But yeah, to your point, to be able to do what he does musically is far deeper than we know. We didn't even ask him about, and I wanted to ask him about the concert for Carolina and all the stuff they did for the western part of the state and all the stuff they do for things like that. I mean, it's a pretty big deal. And he comes on this podcast and shoots the breeze with us. So, Eric, if you're listening, which I know you are, again, appreciate it. It's fun to talk it, and maybe we'll see you at the college football playoff one day. But
yeah, wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, but before he goes, he needs to stop somewhere, Joey. Where does he need to stop?
I mean, I'm just assuming that he starts and stops every tour with a Johnny T-shirt run. I don't know that the tour stop actually shows up on the tour shirt where it says, East Franklin Street and Chapel Hill. But I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, the man's probably been there multiple times. And since he listens to this show, he probably was ready for me to drop a Johnny T read in there, but we didn't. We head faked him. But we do want to make sure that everybody that's listening to this knows that Johnny T-shirt supports this podcast and they support Inside Carolina. If you have not yet, go ahead and join. Go to the premium message boards, get that subscriber discount that you can find, get an extra 10% off your Johnny T-shirt order. You'll be grateful you did. I mean, Tommy, it's $1 to subscribe to get premium content, and then you're immediately saving 10% at Johnny T-shirt. To me, that sounds like you're coming out ahead. sometimes my math don't math, but that seems almost impervious to me mismathing it.
Spend money to make money, right? Spend
That's the
money
way
to
the Lord
save
works.
money in this regard. It sounds pretty awesome. Yeah, Johnny T-shirt's got some Navy stuff going on there.
I heard
He
about
got
that.
some new set. I know. I mean,
What do you think that means?
kind of think we're going to see Navy, and like I said on the show the other night, I love some Navy uniforms. I mean, I
They
just
pop
think
at night, I'll tell you that.
they're super sharp. It's going to be J-Bone needs to drop a uniform combo as soon as possible to see where we're going with that. But yeah, Joey, fun show, fun thing to do. Appreciate you setting it up with his managers and all that. But yeah, I mean, anybody and everybody wants to talk about Carolina football with Bill Belichick. Like he mentioned, Monday night's going to be absolutely insane in Chapel Hill. And it starts, you can start your day at the Bulls lot, 5 to 7 o'clock with me and that guy right beside me. You probably won't see that lettuce in the Bulls lot, but at least you get to see it a couple times here. But Joey, yeah, fun times for sure.
Yeah, man. Thanks for making time for us. Appreciate everybody listening again. Rate, review, subscribe if you haven't. You'll get stuff like this. We love doing these kind of shows. And as long as you guys keep watching them and listening to them, we'll keep doing them for you. But until next time, again, he's Tommy Ashley. I'm Joey Powell. We'll talk to you very, very soon on Inside Carolina.